Oos, Face Sensei here. Austin McBroom, Bryce Hall. Gonna compare their sparring footage and some training footage from Austin. Now he's got some new stuff out and give you my opinion on who I think is gonna win and how that's gonna go. But real quick, I know a lot of people have been asking, Sensei, are you fighting on this card? Why aren't you fighting? Beat up Jake Paul, please. That's been like the reoccurring thing for the last few years. I feel like I've talked about it a bunch. But right now, I've been super busy. I wanted to do this video a couple days ago, but I've been playing football like crazy. Flag football, tackle football. I've been loving life. I'm gonna be moving in a couple of weeks actually to a new apartment. Spend a lot of time with family. Everything's been going great. The reason I'm saying that is because for me, gratitude is that main thing that helps me with my mental health, and I really think is the only thing that can truly help somebody with their just overall mental health. I don't talk about these subjects often. I do talk about it often with people individually. I'm always talking about people's mental health and their quality of life individually, my friends, and I'm a martial arts instructor, so I do it a lot. I don't do it publicly a lot, mainly because I feel like in the context of a YouTube video, I'm not talking to someone individually, so things can get taken out of context, and I feel like sometimes it can be more harm than good. So I tend to refrain from it unless I'm speaking about something directly. Speaking about things like mental health and depression, anxiety on a general scale can be dangerous because people can just take what they want from what you're saying and give it meaning to them. So what I will say, for me and for most people I've ever met, gratitude is number one. And what I mean by that is it doesn't take a lot for me to feel like an abundance of gratitude. It does not take a lot. I need very few things to go my way. Number one, waking up, being alive. People that I care about most in my family, especially my mom and my dad and just like my siblings and my girlfriend, everyone is doing well with their health. That's very important. The relationship with my nieces and nephews, with my students and my core friends is the most important thing to me. So I focus on that, and everything that happens outside of that circle is a bonus. And obviously if I lose a football game, I'm not gonna be happy, right? If I'm not doing well in a video game or YouTube's going down or something isn't going well, I'm not gonna be like ecstatic, but I don't lose that base sense of gratitude where I get to the point where I feel negative about my life and myself personally. So for me, it just doesn't take a lot for me to feel abundant. And that's something that I work on all the time. I always have those conversations with myself to make sure that I'm not getting in over my head and focusing too much on things that aren't that important when it comes down to the grand scheme of things in life and with people and your personal health and things like that. So people out there who feel like you're struggling with your mental health, whether you're diagnosed with depression, anxiety, or you're on medication, or if you're not and you're just struggling, simplifying things for yourself and trying to find abundance in less is important. Sometimes feeling like you're not abundant or you're not worthy and you have to do all these other things in order to become something of worth and of value is counterintuitive. You should be able to look at the things around in your life, as little as they may be, maybe it's just within yourself, depending on your situation, and try to find abundance of gratitude in those situations. And do not allow yourself to feel self-pity. Self-pity and feeling bad for yourself, in my opinion, is the worst thing a human being could ever feel. I don't think there's anything worse in the sense of, because when you feel self-pity, you disempower yourself. You don't allow yourself the opportunity to have a good attitude and a good perspective on something. So that's like my number one rule for myself, that no matter how bad things are, I will not feel bad for myself, because that just leads to compounding negative feelings, right? So I don't want to talk about it too much, but that's like just the thing there. If you want to talk about it in the comments, if you want me to talk about it more, let me know. I'd love to, but I just get concerned sometimes with the context that will keep taken in the videos. But gratitude, make sure it's easy for you to feel abundant, okay? Keep it simple. Back to your regular scheduled program. Bryce Hall, Austin McBroom. Very interesting here. We're gonna look at Bryce Hall first versus Stromedy. I only saw a clip when I talked about it before, but now I want to look at the actual sparring footage and just talk about Bryce here. He'll say what he does well, what he doesn't do well. Action. Here we go. Wild right hand, wild hooks. He tends to lead with his head and clinch a lot. He leans out of way punches with his hands down. He tends to just lean and wing punches, and he fights very emotionally. You see he's fighting with a lot of emotion here. Not good. He's gonna get drained. But you see how he's leaning with his head? He's not staying behind his hands. It's a big thing. He's not staying behind his guard. Gets cracked with the right hand and then makes an emotional comment. If Stromedy had any other gas tank, he would have jumped on him right there. But you see here, clinching and driving into him, and then that's just a waste of energy. When you have something like that, look, natural double, right? These are all gonna be very bad things for him moving forward. He tends to lead with his head so he can wing punches, right? He doesn't stay behind his hands, the backward movement. He just leans back. He's not staying behind his hands so he can return shots right away. And then you see here Stromedy gives up at the first round, and Bryce just, goes into it. So pause here. Bryce just tends to lead with his head and swing haymakers. He does have like he'll he does this, and I think it's probably because he's doing a lot of mitt work. And when you're doing mitts, you look good, you do that and you punch, but then when start punches coming at you, you start to land power shots and you're not thinking about landing clean punches, you start going into your old habits when you start just swinging, and you go into your instincts, and his instinct is to wrestle. Roll the clip, Jasper, of the press conference, right? They have a boxing match, and Bryce does the push and the shove, and as soon as things got close, the first thing he does is shoot for a double leg, which Austin did a pretty good job here of fighting his head off. And you know, little hip action there, little sprawl. He didn't have help from his bodyguard or his friend there, but Bryce's instincts are not going to do him well when it comes to boxing. Head is constantly going forward, and he leads with his head to bring his hands back to then wing punches. So, which doesn't add power because it's not coming from his hips. All the power is coming from his shoulder, and he's just rotating his shoulders, his upper body. You can tell he's not setting his feet into the ground and driving shots in there. So not great for Bryce Hall. Now Austin McBroom. Interesting because I watched the clip, but I've seen some clips originally, and I wasn't like, okay, I thought it was kind of even. I feel like some people thought it was even, but based off this sparring footage and a few clips of him hitting the mitts, I am like all the way Austin. I think there is practically no chance that Bryce wins this, especially if they're wearing heavier gloves. You don't have that one punch knockout, even though I don't think he even has that chance. Let's look at this quick clip here. Pretty good on the mitts. You see how he's staying behind his hands, he's not leading with his head. He has in and out footwork. He's not just marching forward. Good jab to uppercut. Quick hands, sliding away, right? See how he's staying behind his hands? He's not over leading with his head to try to put weight behind the punch. Now here's some sparring footage. So it looks pretty sharp so far. Little clinch here, but here. Picking his shot, staying behind his hands. Little feint. Feint jab, feint null jab into right hand. Leaning away, seeing the shots, following up with hook 2. That was a little weird. See how I noticed how he switched stance. It looked pretty clean. That was a beautiful one. We're gonna go back here. Play. Boom. He fakes it and then uppercut with his right hand and then slides away. Boom, sets his feet. You see how he shuffles back a little bit? He lands a shot, shuffles back, sees what he wants to see, and then comes back in. So he's picking his shots. And I feel like Bryce, the way that I see it, Bryce is gonna go in there. He's gonna get jabbed to an oblivion. He's going to get frustrated. He's going to start winging punches. I could definitely see Austin knocking him out or a TKO. Definitely a TKO because I feel like Bryce just might get overwhelmed. He's going to get embarrassed. I think he's going to feel embarrassed and emotionally start to fight. It's not going to be good. I expect a TKO or a KO because, again, while Austin was landing, he was still feinting and picking shots. You could see him thinking like a boxer, trying to find openings, not just trying to lay leather on the guy and just land punches. Switch his feet, look pretty good on both sides. Feint, he did. Did you see one feint from Bryce? 0 feints. And then the one time that Stormedy did a combination, he got cracked with the right hand. Austin looks pretty good. I think it's going to be interesting. I can almost see like Austin versus Taylor. That is like where Austin goes into that Deji, Gibb, Taylor mix, right? Slim, right? These guys, he can go in. I feel like he should be in that mix. Even Adam, he's a little bit bigger than Adam Sala, but yeah. So impressed by what I've seen from Austin. Not impressed at all by Bryce. He just seems so emotionally involved, and he's not really working on boxing. He thinks he's just going to beat people up. I think he's going to get tooled by Austin McBroom. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hopefully, get some more sparring footage soon. TKO or KO? I'm not saying to put your money on it, but oos.